טוב, בעזרת השם נעשה ונצליח, with Hashem's help we'll do and we'll succeed. שיהיה לרפואה שלמה. If anyone else has names, please let me know, or just have the כוונה. אז רפאל בן ברוכה, אליהו יגאל בן ראי רחל, פליקס בן אסנת, פלינה בת דבורה, ליובה בת דבורה, ספורה בת דבורה, מירה מרים בת ברוכה, רחל בת נכדם לאה, זויה בת ברוכה, אנה אסתר בת אנה, and everyone else who needs רפואה שלמה. So we ask Hashem that these people, He should have them, He should send them the merit and the zchut that they do Teshuvah Shelema. Even if they are on the path of the Torah, they should do Teshuvah Shelema, and us as well, and we should all get Refuah Shelema. Ezrat Hashem. So last time we finished the Baruch Hashem, so many halachot regarding the twice every pasuk, and one time the translation or the Targum Unklus, which is called Shna Mikra Veha Targum, Shemot. In short, so we said many times how it's very important to know and to comprehend the fact that you see the menorah has 7 branches, and where is the Shabbat? Shabbat is actually in the middle. It's not the last. It is in the middle. It is first. And it is the main one, it is the fundamental to the world, it is the foundation that the world stands on. What this said is that all the strength, all the power, all the whatever is in the physicality and the spirituality, everything comes from the Shabbat Kodesh. So with this, we do continue and say that there is nothing basically higher than the Shabbat Kodesh. This is the highest realm, this is the highest strength, the highest power ever that there can ever be achieved. And aside from that, as we know, there is so many halachot in regards to the Shabbat. One time somebody asked me, he said, do you know such and such topics? I said, well, I'm working on it. Do you know Shabbat? Not yet. So you have to know Shabbat. I said, well, I'm working on it. And he said, which books are you using to learn the halachot of Shabbat? I said, such and such books, obviously the Maran books, Yalkut Yosef, perhaps sometimes. And he said, Arav Ovadia Yosef does not write everything. The Shabbat is so to the fine line. Is so fine. His halachot are so fragile that he did not write every single detail. And most of it, obviously, he did. Whatever is nafkamina, whatever it was that he thought is halakha l'maaseh. But what this said, there's so many minute details, and it's a very fine line. As the introduction to Masechet Shabbat in the Mishnayot at least, it says that you have to imagine the Shabbat Kodesh, the aspect of Shabbat, the physicality of Shabbat. The spiritual realm of Shabbat is like this mountain, right? It's in Masechet Shabbat that is written about the receiving of the Torah. What did Hashem do? And we just went through the holiday where we did accept the oral Torah once again, with love, with spirituality, with fervor, with this kind of special kind of love that is only found in the day of the Purim. So we just came back to the reality of the world after Purim, Baruch Hashem. So it says regarding the oral Torah and regarding Shabbat, is that imagine that Shabbat is this high mountain. It's a super huge mountain, and this mountain, the only thing that connects it between this world and the Olam Haba, that realm of the world, is this one small hairbreadth, a thin hairbreadth, right? And what happens if you do not keep that Shabbat? This hairbreadth, if you can imagine it as a hairbreadth, is that this whole mountain falls on the person. That has to do with the keeping of the Shabbat. טוב מאוד שהן האישה כשקונים איזה מוצר לכבוד שבת, וכן כשמושלים מסדרים הדרה יאמרו בפיהם לכבוד שבת. So it's how serious and of much great importance it is that when a person is buying any kind of musar for Shabbat, any kind of thing for Shabbat, any day of the week, especially when it comes closer to Friday, or when it is Friday especially, how much more so, he has to say Lechvot Shabbat. Or whenever the husband and or wife are preparing the food, preparing the rooms, preparing all the beds, all the linens, anything that is in their mind, the cleaning, anything that is for the respect of the Shabbat, you have to say לכבוד Shabbat. כשאומר כך, מלאכי השרת אומרים, אשר העם שכחדו, ברכה וקדושה חלה ושורה על אותו עסק וחפץ, ונשמתו תאיר מאוד. Wow, איזה הלכה. It says over here, when the מלאכי השרת, with the angels, who are these angels? They are Gemara, which means, it is an acronym for these names. Gabriel, Michael, Raphael, Uriel. Gemara. So what happens when a husband and wife, or any person, whether married or not, that they say Lichvot Shabbat, this is in honor of the Shabbat. Hashem, please help me that this dish is going to become tasty. Everything is going to be in the right amount, the spices. Even if sometimes we overdo it, sometimes we get offended, we get mad. But Hashem, please make this dish to boil and to cook and everything that it has to go, whether in the oven, whether in any other way or facet of cooking. It should be Lichvot Shabbat. I don't know how to cook, I don't know what I'm doing. Hashem, please help me out. And with this, Hashem helps the person. But when a person is saying Lichvot Shabbat, what happens? These angels that we just mentioned their names, they are called Malachei Hasharet, and they say, wow, Hashem, it's good that this nation exists. This nation is the happy one. Like they have the merit, they have the zechut. And when the angels, Malachei Hasharet, they say this, it continues saying that the blessing and the holiness, the purity of the Shabbat Kodesh, it falls on that house, it sits on the house. The purity and the holiness of Shabbat found itself. It's going to make sure that it's going to fit itself in the spiritual aspect, in the physical aspect, on top of this house, inside of the house, anywhere that it is. It's like the clouds of glory right now. And another thing that happens, very fascinating thing, that everyone's soul becomes bright. It starts to ripen in the spirituality, it starts to become bright, it starts to get that holy aspect, whether of Shabbat or whether in general. So that's just, you say 3 words, right? Lichvot Shabbat Kodesh.
In honor of Shabbat.
In honor of Shabbat. In honor of the holy Shabbat.
So as you clean, as you prepare, everything.
As you clean, as you prepare,
Cook.
as you cook, as you buy already, as you, especially when you imagine.
Everything has to do that.
Anything that has to do with
Preparation.
Preparation.
with the preparation. Yeah, it's a very, very big thing. That's why we have to know that right now everyone is buying things for Pesach. They're already preparing not to buy chametz, like we said before. You're already finishing with the chametz. You're getting rid of it. Also in the character of the soul, of the person himself, in the chametz, in the house, in physical, spiritual way. This topic is like endless. Whether in Musar, whether in the Halachot, talking about chametz, whether what it has to do with the Mashiach, like we said in Shabbat Kodesh, has to do with chametz. Is this the same letters or root letters, I should say, as the word Mashiach, which is Tzemach. Mashiach has a few names. Tzemach is one of his names. So therefore we should know that as we prepare, as we clean, anything that we do, whether small, great or big, enormous, a giant kind of act, ma'aseh, that we do for Pesach and for Shabbat, we have to know, especially for the preparation of Pesach.
Where we forget if we forget to say it.
1 second. Especially in the preparation of Pesach, it says in the Sefer Rokeach, one of the Rishonim, it says that you already start to gesture with your hand. You're already creating so many thousands of angels, not thousands, then for sure hundreds of angels. So how much a person has holiness inside of his soul, how much he has to take it out, and how much he has to basically like give to the world to make from to push away the darkness and to bring lots of light and holiness into the world. Like the Baal HaTanya says, with one spark of holiness you can push away so much darkness in the world. And so for the Shabbat especially, because Shabbat is pretty high up there, and So you can create so many good, such good energy, so many good things, the aura, the ruach, and the ruhot, all of these great things. It's very fascinating if a person can get to that level. And the Shabbat is going to be different, and he's going to feel different. Especially, we will talk in the upcoming pages, Be'ezrat Hashem, soon, that especially according to the Zohar Kadosh, when a person takes the proper care of himself for Shabbat, maybe an hour or two, maybe he goes to the mikveh, maybe not, but for sure, if he uses hot water, it's such a pleasure to use hot water, especially on Friday, and when Shabbat comes out on the Motzei Shabbat. I'm not saying this; it's the Sfarim say it. One of the Sfarim is Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai in the Zohar Kadosh, Parashat Vayakel, Kuf Gimel and Kuf Dalet, 103 and 104. It says over there that the person has so much pleasure. His neshama is like right now on a vacation, and it feels like it's in Gan Eden Mikedem, and the person like renews himself. Especially if a person goes to mikveh, we'll also talk about it. It's a big topic, and a topic in of itself, mikveh, which in the future we will Be'ezrat Hashem devote and dedicate that time, the shiur. On Shabbat also a person can go if he knows the halachot. There's a few halachot that he has to know. Also he accepts whether Friday night, whether in the mikveh, or during the arvit, in the shaharit, also in the morning of the Shabbat, as I just said a few seconds ago, that there's a lot of kedusha the person can attain. Even just going one dip, and one tevilah inside of the mikveh waters. Just one time. You don't know what you're doing. You just go there one time. You're done. It's a very big change. Obviously, how much more so if a person knows what he's doing, kabbalistical kavanot, all the different things, which for sure everyone is far away from. Every one of us. What if a person forgets to say Lechot Shabbat Kodesh? It's not a problem, but like anything that you want to give to the king, anything that you prepare in honor of the queen, which is Shabbat, the Shekhinah, so you want to like dedicate it. You want to say, this is for Pesach, this is for Shabbat, this is for, you cannot compare the two ever. So it's like a person does tax. Oh, this is for such an account, this is for this. And the same thing with the children. This is for such a child, this is for such a child. You dedicate it, you devote it. Every child is different. Obviously, no child is the same. So that was halacha aleph. Yachin dirato v'yizaher בניקויה. וסדרה כמקבל פני מלך ומלכה. ויפרוס מפות מיוחדות וכיסויים על גבי המיטות והמושבים. So it says over here that it's very important that a person prepare his apartment or anywhere that a person is dwelling in, house, villa, a treasury, a castle, whatever it is, or a special room. I know many people that they, when they were building their house, they devoted a special room for Shabbat. And they only enter there for Shabbat and holidays. And they do not enter there in the middle of the week. You see how it's so important. I think it's a halakha l'maaseh actually also to devote when a person is building his house. The first thing that a person devotes when he's building the house, even if it's not planned yet, even if there's no architectural plans yet, the first thing a person has to think of is where he's going to learn in that house. Because of that, Masechet Shabbat, I think, says it's a thing that's not really so known. When there's no voice, meaning when there's no singing of the Torah in the night, in a certain house, in the guardianship, whoever is the guardian of that house, if he does not learn Torah in the night, even if it's one halakha, two halachot, so chas v'shalom lo aleinu, says that a fire comes up, whether it's a spiritual fire, whether it's an actual fire. You see that unfortunately, on the East Coast and wherever it is, if there is no Torah in that house, at least a little bit in the night, then that house gets on fire, or there's something happens, the house is going to divorce right now, the couple, chas v'shalom. And it was proven many times, and unfortunately I also had to see it many times by other people, which is a very great lesson. So with this said, when a person goes into the building of the house, the first thing, because it's the foundation of the world, it's the foundation of Shabbat, it's the foundation of the husband and wife, and if we want to have a community, which Baruch Hashem we do have, it all has to do with the lesson of the Torah, the learning of the Torah, the teaching of the Torah, and going more deeper into the knowledge of the Holy Torah. And with this said, you see that the only thing that is the real peace and the real fun and the real accomplishment of being able to be able to speak to the other person, whether it's a husband and wife, whether it's a friend to a friend, whether it's chavruta, whether it's even the person to Hashem Yitbarach, it all has to do with the Torah Kedusha. This is the real peace. This is the real thing, that there's no such thing that if you learn it in the real way, in the right way, in the proper way, then there's no such thing that it could ever lead you to a mistake. It could ever lead you to a shalom bayit issue, or some kind of hatred, animosity, and all of the different kind of words. So with this said, how it's so important that a person is going to prepare his place of dwelling and be cautious in it and warn everybody about it, to be clean on the Shabbat, for things to be responsible, for things to be put back in their place. And why? Because the Shekhinah is going to come, the Shabbat is going to come right now, and main thing is that Hashem, Melech Melechei Amlechim, the King of Kings, is approaching to come into everyone's house. Not everyone has that zechut. Veifros, mapot, and a person should have nice tablecloths, whether it's plastic, whether it's real, whether it's I don't know, like linen, or things that many people buy, especially very nice quality, very beautiful linen and tablecloths for the Pesach. So Shabbat should also not be diminished, then Pesach should at least be on the same level. And if a person is able to afford pillows, like those heavy duty kind of pillows, the rich pillows, the royalty for Pesach and for Shabbat, he has to do it. If he has the means to do it, why not do it? Why is Hashem giving you money? To spend for the Torah, to invest in the Torah, obviously with the reality in mind. But it's so much fun when a person comes to and is prepared. How much a person has to be very careful. It's a very hard thing, like Rabbi said yesterday, Rabbi Israel, and that a person comes with shalom bayit and with peace and with love with any single family member, especially with the spouse, on the eve of Shabbat, which is the whole day of Friday, especially after we enter the Chatzot Hayom, which is about like 1:03 p.m. or 1:15 p.m., whatever it is in this state. So because the Yetzer Hara is going crazy now, everyone is bringing such good light, such holiness into the world, into their house.
Best friend.
Yeah. The best chavrusa is the Yetzer Hara. 103. It's Chatzot. So before that, especially after that, how much more so? A person has to be very careful, to be calm, to be relaxed, and to keep quiet if he's able to. If they're not, they should just step out, or I don't know, put water in their mouth, right? To have water in their mouth. So it's very important. Why? Because the Sitra Ahura, the opposite side, which we call the Yetzer Hara, and his palace and his kingship, all these demons, it says here a person has to be very calm, very relaxed, very down to earth, especially when Shabbat is very, very close, candle lighting time,
For example.
there might be the ceiling is flooding in, chas v'shalom aleinu, all these different things that occurrence from Yetzer Hara. He wants to offend you. He wants you to get mad. He wants you to lose the temper and for you to be in the anger. It's not good. Somebody told me yesterday that they felt bad. They had to remember something a long time ago, and that kind of feeling, if it's a negative feeling, it's not pleasant to sit like that on the Shabbat.
No.
Unfortunately, I think many of us did experience that, and it's not pleasant because you see that you cannot accept this holy power that is flowing into our soul. It's blocking, right? And this all goes to the Yetzer Hara. It's an unfortunate thing. And we have to know one thing, that whenever we do wake up the Yetzer Hara, they get awakened, they get aroused in any kind of sin. So we have to know that if we ever gave over power to them, whether it's in our tefillot, which we all, I think, have to work on, the kavanah for the tefillah, the preparation for the tefillah, whatever it is, teshuvah, all the different kinds of things, from Aleph at Taf, from A to Z basically. So we have to understand and know and to comprehend it. It's a very big thing. That if we ever gave power, or if ever the negative power, basically it was substituted and it was given over to them, there is a consequence and a price to pay for that. Because the world was created that the person is not supposed to sin. As we said many times, nothing here in this world is ours. The only thing that really belongs to us is our mitzvot and ma'asim tovim, especially when they were done with misirut nefesh, with sacrifice, yeah? With sacrifice and self-sacrifice, thank you. That's the only thing that we're going to take out in this world. That's the only reason why we came to this world. As we will speak in the future, Be'ezrat Hashem, this is a shur in and of itself. How do you learn the Mitzvah Desharim? Certain part over there. How do you learn Masechet Eruvin, the 13th page? That was 2.5 years. Beit Shammai and Beit Hillel argued about this. What was the argument? Why was it so long? It's just a small thing that we would think it's so small. It's not. Huh? Yeah, I'm saying. The argument, the debate was about, was a person supposed to come to this world or not? Was he supposed to be created for this world or not? Or maybe for the world to come, for the next world, Olam Haba. And if he was already created, what is he supposed to do? So how are we supposed to learn that Gemara, that piece of Gemara, that Sugya? It's for a different time. But with this, what did I want to say is that a person was not created for this world to sin, because nothing is ours in the end of the day. So when a person does sin, Hashem has to substitute that power, whether it's Chilul Shabbat and any other sin that we can even imagine about. So because Hashem had to substitute for that, a person has to pay for that. A person has to have a consequence in his lifetime, maybe even a few, in order to get rid of that. Because somebody had to pay for you. They had to give you a loan and you have to pay for it. So that's why it's very important that we do not arouse any kind of powers for the Yetzer Hara to have money from that, to have parnasah from that, to grow bigger and stronger and powerful. This is not supposed to be our profession. Our profession should be to learn the Torah, for it to be practical, to teach it, to pass it over, and for the telephone not to be broken. That's why how much it's very important. It's a very big musar, and we all have to work on it, to be relaxed, to be down to earth, especially on Friday, just like we said, for the person to speak in calmness, to take it easy. טוב, שיעור תורה של רבים או סדר לימוד קבוע מצווה לקיימו בערב שבת ואין לבטלו חס ושלום. There are many yeshivot and many groups of Jewish people that they do learn on Friday, and they learn the Sefer HaChinuch, other Sfarim that explain the commandment, that are different halachot that come out from the weekly parasha. or they go deep in some kind of analytical study, analytical topic or title, and they go very deep into it. So are you allowed to have this kind of shi'ur on Friday? It's far away from candle lighting time, but the halakha says, yeah, and you should not cancel this kind of shi'ur. And I'll tell you that usually on the evening of Hanukkah, and usually like close to candle lighting time, and after it, there are many people who do not get to learn. It's like the Torah is a little bit less, and it's placed on pause. Same thing with Erev Shabbat. Not many of us study the Torah, but honestly, that's the time to study, because the learning of the Torah is diminished. It's on a low at that moment, and if there's anything, there's any big zechut or any kind of merit that because of you something good will happen in the world, something that the world will end off that day on a benevolent and a high note, it's going to be because of the limud of the Torah of that person, say on Friday. And also it has to do with any kind of holiday, when any holiday is coming in, and also when the holidays and Shabbat, they come out, which is Motzei Shabbat and Motzei Yom Tov. So those are the times that a person has to be lehachzik et Torah, lechazek et Torah, to have strength and a little bit like empower himself to learn more in those times, because the Torah is on a low. Not many people, because many of us are busy with this physical life, and there's a lot of people that have obligations, whether to the spouse or to children, or people want to go on Shabbat to eat pizza or whatever is the thing. So a person should also find that time to study in those crucial times. So that Friday morning or Friday close to Shabbat time, on the Friday day, it should not be cancelled, any kind of shi'ur or learning that's taking place. But when a person is studying on his own, before we said this is in a tzifta, it's in a group. There's like 20, 30 people, maybe even 5, 6 people, maybe a minion of people, 10 people, and they're learning. You should not cancel it. Why? Because they're going to remind each other, oh, it's going to be Shabbat Kodesh, we have to go and prepare maybe 2-3 hours before. But when a person is by himself, there's nobody to, unless if it's a phone. But let's say he does not have a phone, doesn't have the alarm, he has one of those older kind of phones, for example. What happens when he's going to go deep into learning? He's going to go into very high level Torah learning. What happens? He's not going to be able to stop. So that kind of Torah, it has to be a little bit put on pause, because that person, whether he's married or not, he's going to have to go prepare for the Shabbat Kodesh, and he has to basically leave himself some time to get everything done for the Shabbat. ומנהג חסידים אנשי מעשה לסיים הכנות שבת מוקדם ולהחליף בגדיהם וחצות היום ולשבת ולעסוק בתורתנו הקדושה עד כניסת שבת קודש. And if you want to do a great thing for yourself, it's like a suggestion. It's not halakha l'maaseh necessarily, but if you want to have and follow a great suggestion and amazing advice, it says over here that the tradition and the custom of big rabbis, the Hasidim, and Anshe Maaseh, people who like to do things on time, if you want to take this good suggestion, the aitzah is to finish all the preparations earlier on Friday, and to already be in your big day Shabbat, in the Shabbat clothes. You already went to mikveh, you already took a shower, for example. And this is everything is going to, preparations of Shabbat will end and terminate before the midday of Friday, which is before 1:03, like he just said, 1:03 p.m. At 1 p.m.
That includes going to
it's very hard
mikvah
to
and
do it.
everything?
There's a very big yetzirah.
That includes going to mikvah and so forth.
Mikveh we will talk about, because the closer you go to you go to the mikveh, and it gets very busy at that time, at least in different states on the East Coast. Cholent.
The closer it gets
to candle lighting, the more people are there. But that's one thing. The other thing is that the closer it gets to hadlakat nerot shel Shabbat, candle lighting of Shabbat, it's much more holier. Like Shabbat is right there and you want to dip, that's the more holiest time. But if you want to be more, it's very important to be tzanua in the mikveh, to be modest and humble in the mikveh. If the towels do not, some of us have a belly and the towel does not go all the way. So you can bring yourself a towel and for the feet and for the body, for the head. So we'll explain according to, even back in the day, somebody who was not religious, how did they used to dry themselves? Did they have 2 towels or 3 towels or 1 towel? What was it's also a little bit of derech eretz. It's for hygiene as well. According to the Torah and according to the Kabbalah, you don't want to mix different organs. Every organ has its own level. So the highest would be in the head. But with that said, the closer it is to Shabbat, the more it is. Same thing with the Shabbat, with the day of Shabbat. The closer a person can go to this is on Saturday morning. The closer a person can go to the mikveh to dip, closer to Musaf, and also that includes holidays, the better it is for that person. But since that is
not possible.
No, it is possible.
Not here.
Not yet.
If we're downstairs, maybe.
Not yet. Soon. Be'ezrat Hashem, we have to think positive. Yeah, why? Because we want to copy the Kohen Gadol. That's what the Kohen Gadol, or if not all the Kohanim, that's what they used to do in the temple we're talking about. In the Beit HaMikdash, they used to go to the mikveh before Musaf. That's probably already the multiple amount of times, because they had to go before Korban, before the sacrificial offering, any kind of offering, all the different things, which is very interesting and so important. So why wouldn't we want to resemble the Kohen Gadol, the holiest person back in the day? That's the whole Jewish nation, holiest person from the whole Jewish nation back in the day. So if a person is able to do that, it's always a challenge. It's always a test. Somebody starts to cry, somebody starts to go crazy, somebody starts to go to the JCC an hour before Shabbat comes in, Baruch Hashem. But we have to have the kavzchut to the people that they still do not understand fully, they still do not comprehend all the way. If they would, Be'ezrat Hashem, that's what we wish for all of us, including myself, to comprehend, to do the best way possible. But that's why we have so many Shabbatot to do, to every Shabbat, every holiday, to do the best that we can every single year that it comes. So once again, if a person is able to finish all of the preparations, all of the hachanot for Shabbat earlier, nobody said it has to be in the early morning or in the late morning. Whenever you're able to, make it a little bit early. You cannot go perfect from day one, right? Sometime every Shabbat, a few minutes earlier, next Shabbat 10 minutes, next Shabbat half an hour, like this, until you can get it before Chatzot Hayom, before the midday of Friday. And then the tradition is to put on the Shabbat clothes. It's also a topic that it is in of itself, has to do with Bil'am Arasha, Balak ben Tzipor. When we come to that parasha, I already have a Dvar Torah prepared. And what do? You just sit and do nothing? When you're prepared, you have Shabbat clothes, you do maybe Shnai Mikra Ve'Hat Targum, as we said, every pasuk twice, the Targum Yerushalmi, Targum Unklus, Targum whatever it is, any of the translations, the interpretations, the commentaries of the Torah Kedusha. So you learn the Torah Kedusha, any level that you are in, until the coming in of the Shabbat. And I know a few people that have that have experienced it, and they still do it. Baruch Hashem, they should be blessed from Hashem. And it's such an amazing light. It's such an aura that you cannot imagine. A few rabbis always mention the fact that how it's so important to learn on Friday night. But people are heavy. They just ate a good meal, a few course meal, right? And they can't because they're heavy and they want to go to sleep. That's why even when we eat, it has to be with the mind, with the mindset that that I want to learn the Torah. I don't want to be too heavy. Maybe I'll eat a heavy meal tomorrow, which is Suda of Abraham Avinu, Shabbat morning. In the night it's Yitzchak Avinu. Suda Shlishit is Yaakov Avinu. But with this said, they Rav Ovadia Yosef, especially the grandfather, the one that we all know, he writes the Halachot for us, Baruch Hashem, Alav Shalom. He said it many times. Harav Mutzafi said it many times. The author of this book, Harav Mutzafi. His grandson, Rav Ovadia Yosef's grandson, which is the same name, Rav Ovadia Yosef. They express it all the time. There's no kind of level that you can reach, no highest level, more than the learning of the Torah on Friday night, meaning Shabbat night. Why? Rav Ovadia Yosef, many times he said, there's no telephones, nobody's going to leave a message, nobody's asking me to write an answer. It's no crucial point. It's basically, long story short, no distractions. Olam Shekulo Shabbat.
One day.
Be'ezrat Hashem, one day. We should all think of that. We should think in the realistic way. That's true. But reality can also be a high level, which is the Torah. What is greater than the Torah? What is greater than accepting this fervor and the light and the gishmak, this fun of the Torah? It's even more than that. They say when a person finishes a Masechet, a Gemara, Berachot, a Shabbat, Nidah, whatever it is, it's such a pleasure. The question is, did it really finish it or not? It's endless. Every single page of the Gemara, every single Masechet is endless. But whatever they finish, they get such pleasure, they get such fun, they're so happy, they're so merry at that point of time. And with this said, it's just a pleasure. And if a person really would be able to compare it to any physical thing that is in this world, let's take a piece of steak, cowboy, hat boy, whatever it is, T-bone steak. It has a little fat in it. It has a good piece of meat on it, right? Any width, any breadth of a steak, and anyone, let's take it. So if that would really be pleasurized in this world, it would be so burnt that you wouldn't be able to eat it. So you cannot compare the Torah and a piece of steak, because if the steak would be really, as you learn the Torah from the bottom of the heart, in the ayun and pilpul, in the depth of the Torah, so this steak wouldn't be alive anymore. It would be so burnt and extinct. It would not be even respectful to give it to the dog anymore. So you can't compare the fire of the Torah to anything in the world. It's going to burn it, right? So let's do one or two more things quickly and we'll finish with this. All the best. Thank you. נחלקו חכמי הקבלה אם נכון להניח תפילין בערב שבת קודש אחר חצות היום. So the Kabbalistical poskim, the Chachamim of the intrinsical Torah, which is the Kabbalah, they had a debate and an argument that is it proper for a person to put on tefillin after Friday midday? So after 1:03 p.m. this week, let's say for example, is it going to be proper? Is it going to be a proper thing if a person is going to put on tefillin? If something is approaching, which is the light and the good auras of the Shabbat Kodesh. ולמעשה נכון להימנע מכך, בפרט שכך דעת הגאון החידה, חכמי בית אל, עיקרי הדת והבן איש חי. So if a person can obviously be on time Friday morning, sometimes it is a challenge, it is a difficult thing to attain, but you cannot rely on this if you do not put on tefillin and say, oh, because Shabbat is coming in, I'm not allowed to put on tefillin. That's not halakha l'maaseh, because the consequence is much worse if you do not put on tefillin just one day. The head that did not put on the tefillin, it's very serious consequences. And so if a person did put on tefillin, you should not put it on after 1:03 p.m. At least in this day, the time is 1:03 p.m.
Midday.
Friday midday.
We should not. That's already, if you prayed in a minyan, the shaharit, you already did it. So sometimes people do want to say another baracha, which is 100% okay, totally fine. Yeah. After a few hours, you want to do another mitzvah. The mitzvah of tefillin is the whole day.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can put
You want to put it on?
as you want, right?
Yeah.
Is that bracha?
Yeah. Well, not after like not after every doning, every putting it on, not like after every 5 minutes, at least half an hour. Yeah.
16.
Hesach Hadam.
So like, can you put it during Mincha? You know, if you need
Friday?
On Friday?
So Kabbalistically, maybe halachically, it should not happen as well. The main thing is for there not to be a
Because it's supposed to be something spiritual, right? It's a connection between your heart, your mind, and you're
Right.
concentrating.
Right.
So if putting on tefillin helps you achieve that, you know, and it's not Shabbat yet, it's not the end of the day. Shabbat hasn't started yet. It's coming, you know. And if you put it on before, you would think that there would be a stronger connection to what's about to come.
That's 100% right. That's only if you did not put it on. The truth is that you don't necessarily need to put it on. Depends according to which opinion we go to. The main thing is that there should not be edut sheker. Как сказать на английском?
A false witness.
False testimony or witness.
False testimony.
False testimony, which right now a person forgot. He didn't do it on purpose, let's say. He forgot. He was not able to come here, or he forgot during the day. Oh, I forgot it before Mincha, I'm going to put it on. So now the question is, does he have to pray silent prayer with the tefillin and tzitzit, or does he not? Or Shema Yisrael is enough? So Shema Yisrael is enough. If you want to go to according to most of the deot, most of the facts and the opinions and the poskim, so then you would pray the silent prayer on a regular day. On Friday you can also do that, but Friday is like the hour of the Shabbat is like almost there. So if you can do it quickly and then come back to Mincha, but that's the whole thing, that it's 100% right what you're saying. You want that connection and the fervor. You want to feel Hashem. You want to feel the mitzvah that you're doing. But that's the whole thing, that you could say that we have so many different substitutes. The substitutions, which is going to the mikveh, which is getting that hot shower, the pleasure. It's not only to have pleasure in the physical world. We will explain when we're going to come there, maybe already next week. But it's also for the soul that is it's the extra soul, the Neshama Yetera, that we're gonna have come to us on Shabbat, Friday and Shabbat Kodesh. So one more halacha for now, and we end with this time. אין לעשות מלאכה שאינה שייכת לשבת ביום שישי מזמן מנחה והלאה, ולדעת המרדכי, האבו דרם, האבו דרם מהלבוש, המניעה מתחילה מזמן מנחה גדולה, דהיינו חצי שעה מחצות היום. דעת רש"י, הרי הם לרוב האחרונים מזמן מנחה קטנה וכן הם נוהגים. So what is he saying here in this halakha? He's saying that it's so important not to do any kind of work. And work means there are 39 melachot, 39 prohibited laws that we cannot do any of them on Shabbat and on Yom Tov. But you are allowed to do anything before Shabbat, obviously, if they have to do with the Shabbat. So it's kind of like Chol HaMoed, kind of, not necessarily and not really. So he says any work, any job, any mission that you have to do before the coming of Shabbat, and it's already after the midday. We have Mincha Gedolah, Mincha Ketana. So if it's during those times or after them, then it's not so good. It's not in the respect of the Shabbat. Meaning that time was not given for your personal needs, unless if it was for Shabbat or Yom Tov. It was not given for the mundane world already. And that's the whole question. When are you allowed to say Shabbat Shalom? Maybe Thursday night, maybe Wednesday, maybe Tuesday night already, because the Neshama starts to come in slowly. But the halakha l'maaseh is you are allowed to say Shabbat Shalom or Good Shabbos, Ashkenazim say, already when it is 1:03 p.m. But before that, you would have to say Erev Shabbat Shalom, like good evening of the Shabbat. So with this said, a person, if he's able to, he should not do any kind of melacha, any kind of work or job or anything that does not have to do with the Shabbat already from Mincha Gedolah, I think, which is already half an hour after the midday, Friday midday, which is, I guess, let's say 1:33, 1:35, 1:40 p.m., something like that. That's according to some opinions. But what is the opinion and the prevalent custom in the halakha l'maaseh that actually we should follow? and it's more of a realistic fact and halakha, more of a halakha l'maaseh, that people are able to keep it, is we follow the opinion, which is Rashi and Hareim and other lawmakers, Acharonim. It is from Mincha Ketana, which means it's like about 2.5 or 2.5 hours or 3 hours before the actual starting of the Shabbat. So that's when a person should already not do anything that has to do with the world out there, with the mundane world, because now we should be focused on the Shabbat Kodesh. Everyone should have Shabbat Shalom, blessings and success. Baruch Adonai La'olam. Amen v'amen.
Doesn't sound easy.